Hello and welcome to everyone listening to the Written in Melanin podcast, the space where you come to get your weekly dose of melanated creativity. Wherever this day may have found you, I'm so glad that you are here. I'm your host, C.M. Lockhart, an author of fantasy books featuring Black girls who aren't all that nice, and the owner of the Malden Library, your place to find books of all genres written by Black authors. And welcome to episode number 15 of the Written in Melanin podcast, you guys. So last week was a really rough one for me. If you listen to episode 14 of the podcast, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But as the saying goes, weeping only endures for a night, and I'm feeling much more refreshed than I had before. So with new decisions on the horizon and previous disappointments behind me, I'm feeling really kind of hopeful for what's to come. And in this episode, I want to talk to you guys about that, like all of it. How I'm healing, giving myself space and time to process, projects I'm letting rest for a little while, and some things that I have coming up and that I'm excited for. So fair warning, this episode may be a little on the longer side for me, so I hope you guys are here for it. But, let's get into this. That being said, I am uploading these podcast episodes to YouTube, so if you are watching this on YouTube, please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, please feel free to rate it wherever you're listening to it or share it with a friend. I would really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. All right, that slight plug out the way, let's just get into all of this. So last week, episode 14, I told you guys it was a rough week. I had been going through some things. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised at myself for sharing that with you guys because I don't like being that vulnerable on the internet. But I don't know, as I'm getting older, I'm becoming more of an emotional girl, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, but it is what it is. That being said, some of the things that I'm doing that's helping me feel better, because right now in this moment, I feel better. I feel like I am on the other side of the worst moment. It's definitely still something that is very current that I'm dealing with, but it's also something that it's becoming more and more that's behind me. I'm moving forward. I'm taking active steps to put this thing further behind me. So it is a thing that I have dealt with and not a thing that I'm currently dealing with, if that makes sense. That being said, some of the things that have been helping me, and I don't know if this will help you in the future, but I'm gonna just be transparent because honestly, I've already put all the emotions out there. So let's talk about it. The first thing that I had to do for me, please know that everything that I'm telling you guys is my personal healing process. So if it doesn't work for you, don't come for me. All right, just throwing it out there. But the first thing that I had to do was accept myself and how I feel, and choosing not to allow people into my space is healthy and not me being petty, and to just accept that. And the reason I say that is because I am one of those people where I have always kind of felt as I said in episode 14, I'm not the type of person where I'm going to wish you ill will. I'm not the type of person where if we don't end on good terms, I'm ooh, I don't like her. I hope she fail. I hope she's miserable. That's not who I am. That's not how I move. That's not how I navigate. And for me, the opposite of that for a really long time was I really hope you succeed. I want everything you do to thrive, and so on and so forth. And for the most part, I do genuinely feel like that. But I had to accept the fact that I can want you to thrive and not thrive in my space. I can want you to be happy, but not be near me while you're happy. And that's not me being petty. That's not me being childish. That is literally me protecting my own space and my own well-being. And I had to accept the fact that this is actually how I feel. I don't want you to be upset. I just don't want you to be happy near me. And I feel like that's a weird in between space. I don't know. And I don't know if that makes me a good or a bad person. And that's the other thing that I had to accept about myself, is that I have to get over this idea of being perceived as a good or a bad person, and that I had to take care of myself. So that was another thing that I had to kind of accept about myself and how I was feeling about things. And I had to accept that not allowing people in my space is healthy. Not everyone gets a ticket to the concert. Sometimes the concert is sold out. Sometimes some people can't afford the price to get in. And I had to start treating my space like that. This is my space, and the way you're treating me shows me that you cannot afford to give me the respect that I need. You cannot afford to, respect my boundaries. So therefore, if you cannot do that, I'm sorry, you don't get a ticket to Chelsea space, period. And I had to be okay with that. I had to learn to be okay with that. And that's a hard thing. That's something that I'm still actively working through. It's just not allowing people into my space if they're not good for my mental health, and prioritizing myself, because I'm very much the type of person where it's like I want everyone to be happy. I want to support everyone, but sometimes it's not possible, and that's just the reality of it. And me saying, hey, I'm going to put myself first is not me being a bad person. That's me caring about myself, and I'm good with that. I'm becoming good with that, if that makes sense. The other thing that I had to do for my healing process is giving myself like time and space to maneuver and process things. And for me, that looked like slowing down. Because if you guys listen to the podcast or you know me, I have done a lot. I run the Melanin Library. I run multiple social media platforms. I write books. I run a YouTube channel. I also have a personal life. I also have 2 separate Discords that I run. I have a Patreon that I create exclusive content for. There's a lot of things that I'm doing. I have a lot of fires going at one time. And for me, I had to realize that giving myself to be like, okay, this is really messing with all aspects of my life because I am not okay, and giving myself time to process things and be like, it's okay. It's okay if I can't do everything. It's okay if I have to slow down and I can only focus on one thing at a time. That's okay. I had to become okay with that, and then I had to actually slow down. So if you guys see me on the internet or I start disappearing off of the internet, which is probably more likely, it's not because I'm not okay. It's because I'm becoming okay. And I'm realizing that even though I have capabilities to do a lot of things, I don't have to do everything. And for me, that's so important because if you guys follow me on TikTok, I made TikTok talking about, not needing to take over the world. And this is basically what I was talking about. I can do a lot of things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I should be doing a lot of things. And I just needed to slow down. So right now I am just like in a space in my healing process where I'm just like, okay, what do I really want to be doing? What can I focus my time and attention and energy on? And what can I do so that I'm not so stretched thin that any and every little thing could completely break me and disrupt this very, very delicate system that I've built up, because I don't want to be burning the candle at both ends constantly. And for me, slowing down is important. And like I said, I'm still figuring it out, trying to figure out the pace that I want to move at, what works for me, what doesn't, because the things that I thought that I could handle, even though technically I can, I realize that I probably shouldn't be trying to do so much, especially by myself. It's just not healthy and it's not maintainable. And having this moment where I gave myself time to just like stop and process made me realize that I don't want to go back to doing everything that I was doing. It was just a lot. And I enjoy having time to like sit down and read a book and, decompress after a long day. And I enjoy not having to work, 12, 13, 14 hours a day. I enjoy having the energy to like cook for my husband, and I enjoy having time to just like sit down and watch anime and not feel guilty like, oh my God, I should be working. Oh my God, I should be working. Oh my God, I should be working. So slowing down has been critical to a lot of things with my mental well-being, and I will probably continue to do that and keep that and work on that because it's necessary. And I'm realizing that as I'm kind of dealing with everything that has been happening. The other thing that has been really important to me that I realized that I haven't been doing, because I actually knew this about myself, I just hadn't been like practicing it, is just like releasing my emotions in some form, whether that's talking, writing, journaling, or whatever. I realized that I have been bottling up a lot, and I realized that I do that. That's like my natural response, and I try to actively not do that. And I just realized I had been doing that. So like releasing everything out to the open, like as hard as that podcast episode was to release, I'm also really glad that I did, because it wasn't in me anymore. It was out. It was somebody heard it. It was experienced by someone who wasn't me. And that was really necessary and important for me. And I needed that. I just needed to not contain it and try to hide it and be like, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm good. And it's like, I really wasn't. And I needed that to be perceived by someone, like, no, I'm not okay. Please check on me. Please be nice to me, And I had to give myself, going back to point number 1, like space to be like, I am not okay. And I do need someone to check on me. And the just having someone check on me and be like, hey, I'm here for you. Like, let me hear you out. Let me listen. I can be present for you, because I do have friends who reached out to me and they were everything and are everything, because that's what I needed. And it was just very, very nice. And just like getting it out and releasing it and realizing that, yes, I have these emotions and some of them aren't pretty, but they are valid, and feeling them and then releasing them and then being like, okay, I have released them. Now I can process. Now I can move on. And that's just really important to me. And that's something that I try to do regularly. I'm not always successful. So knowing that about myself makes things a little bit easier. And the last thing that's like really big for me and my healing, that kind of ties back into everything, is just distancing myself from the internet and making myself constantly available. So I am the type of person where I try to be present, because I understand that running a business, running a brand means being present. You have to put in the work. And I'm the type of person where it's like, if I have to put in the work, I'm going to put in the work, period. That's it. That's the whole conversation. But I realized that having that kind of mentality, because I don't even actually like social media all that much. And that's not to say that I don't enjoy it and I don't have fun on it. It's just that I am not the type of person where I'm not a content creator in that sense. If that makes sense. Like, I know I'm doing a podcast and stuff, but I don't like Instagram, period. I've had whole conversations about it. If you guys would like to hear about it, you can go back to, I think, like episode 10 or whatever, where I did quick tips for decoding social media. I don't like Instagram. TikTok is fun, but I would be happy just watching TikToks and interacting as a consumer and not a content creator. I do it because I have a business and a brand, and as an author, I want to make myself like known. I want to be perceived as an author, and that requires work, that requires putting in effort, that requires making content. And for me, before all of this, I just kind of felt like I had to always be available. I had to respond to all the comments. I had to respond to DMs. I had to do this and do that and just be like present. That was like, my platform is active, and you can contact me, and being easy to get in contact with. I was like, okay, make it easier when it's time for, people to start getting in touch and networking, and, just that idea of, hey, I'm always here. You can always send me an email. Like, I'm always a text away. And that idea of I'm always available just really started to get to me. And I realized that I can't do it. So I have made the conscious decision that, yes, I'm available, but I am not constantly available. If someone messages me at like 8 o'clock, I realize that for a lot of people, they do their networking and social media and such after they get off work. Well, I'm done at 8 o'clock at night. I work full time, so I'm working during the day. And I had to be okay with being like, okay, well, I'm not responding to this until the morning, period. That's it, And I'm available for my friends, which is very like small. I think I've talked about this in the last episode. But I'm available for my friends, around the clock. But that's like 3 people outside of my husband. And I'm okay with that. I can live with that. I can process and handle that. Everything else, I'm just like at capacity, and I don't want to be living my life at capacity anymore. It's just exhausting. So I'm limiting social media. And I'm limiting how I use it for work, because even the way I do use it is only for work. So I'm limiting that. And what that looks like is basically I'm quitting Instagram. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, what you need to know is that I will not be there anymore. If you direct message me, I will respond if I see it. But if you need to get in touch with me, my platforms of choice are Twitter and TikTok, and I'm only going to be there on those platforms because those are the ones that I like. Those are the ones I can deal with, and they don't suck the joy out of my life. So that's what it is. That is what it is. And for me, I'm okay with that, because for a long time I was like, I have to be on Instagram. Everyone's on Instagram. But I was talking to one of my friends because, she was having her own things that she was dealing with. And I told her basically the equivalent of the internet will not stop if you're not on it. And I just realized that I needed to listen to myself. If I'm not on Instagram, Instagram is not going to go down. Instagram's not going to stop. Ain't nobody finna care. That's fine. I ain't got to be on it. So why am I over here stressing myself to the 10th degree, trying to be like, I got to be on Instagram, when literally I'm on other social media? That does not make me inaccessible. It just makes me inaccessible on Instagram. So I'm good. That being said, if you follow my profiles, Written in Melanin, Melanin Library, or C. Lockhart Wright, don't expect anything from me. My C. Lockhart Wright profile was pretty much already dead because it's like my author, quote unquote, profile. And I ain't got pictures like that, okay? That's not what I do. I don't do visual mediums like that. That's just not my bag. So, as you can see, I run a podcast. I can talk to you all day long. I can give you all of the words. I ain't giving you no pictures. That's not what I do. So, that being said, I'm not on Instagram anymore. I don't plan to return to it. This is not a temporary hiatus. I just ain't there. And I'm not mad about it. So I hope you're not mad about it. That's it. That's it. That being said, that's kind of my healing process, you guys. That's what I've been dealing with. That's what I've been going through. And while I have your attention, I want to go ahead and tell you guys about some of the things that I have coming up. So I guess we could just switch over to Chelsea's Corner update. Whoop. So Chelsea's Corner update, because I know I did not include one on episode 14 because you know what? I wasn't even thinking about writing at that point. But now that I've got my head a little bit clear, I'm a little bit more emotionally stable, as they say. Couple of things, and this is just like to keep you guys updated because I feel like that's what y'all come to Chelsea's Corner for, right? So I know that the last time I gave you guys an update, I was telling you that I was really excited because I wanted to start working on a story that I was calling Space Pirates. Basically, I am postponing that indefinitely. Reason being, my process is slow. Okay, I'm Southern, y'all. I don't do anything fast. I know this. I don't walk fast. I generally don't talk fast. Like, I know I talk fast sometimes on the podcast, but generally speaking, I don't even talk that fast. You know, I don't make decisions fast. Like, I am just a slow moving person. And my thought process when it comes to books and stuff is also very slow. And I just kind of have to accept that about myself. I was just seeing a lot of people on social media where they're like, I can put out a book every 3 months. I could put out a book every month. I can do this. I can do that. And I was like, oh my God, why can't I do that too? I don't get it. So I was like trying to like make myself be creative on an imaginary timeline. I don't know why I was doing that, but it is what it is. Anyway, to the point, basically that story is not ready to be told. And I know that. So I'm just going to sit on it for a while, think about it some more, try to figure out where I want to go with the story, what story I'm trying to tell with it. And then when it's ready, I'll come back to it. But the reason I know it's not ready is because right now my mind is so into We Are the Origin and the things that I want to do with that there is really no point in me trying to switch gears into another world, you know? So that being said, I am still going to be working on a short story before I get my edits back in May. But it is going to be set in the world of We Are the Origin, and it's most likely going to be a story of the two main characters, Jack and Brandy, because as I mentioned in previous episodes of the podcast, my story is not a fantasy romance. Jack and Brandy are already together and established in my book, We Are the Origin. So in this little novella, short story that I plan to write, I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I kind of want to show their relationship from the beginning and kind of like show you guys what I know in my mind. Like, I know all the details of how they got together. I know, how they met, how their, first interactions with, how their first couple of missions went, how they interact with the rest of their team, like how they were as shadows. I have all of that information living rent free in my brain, and I just thought it would be fun for you guys to also have that information. So I'm going to be working on that as I can once I get my mental together, because like I said, all of this stuff that I've been going through is still very much a present day struggle. It is not quite past tense like I want it to be yet. But I am going to try to essentially write my way out of it, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the project that I'm working on. Other update, I made a Ko-Fi page. So it is literally just Ko-Fi, which is ko-fi.com/CM Lockhart. And the reason I decided to make this page, because you guys know I have a Patreon, and y'all know I've talked about creating content and being a content creator in that sense, and monetizing content and so on and so forth. And I told you guys that I think I made a Patreon before for myself, and I wasn't too sure about it. Well, the Patreon for myself, the reason y'all haven't heard it on the podcast is because I got rid of it. It just didn't feel right. This Ko-fi feels right. So I'm going to leave it up. And basically, this Ko-fi page is going to be my personal Ko-fi as an author. So this is going to be for We Are the Origin. This is going to be for the stories that I have coming up. And I do have titles for my next books. Like, I have like 5 books living in my head that I know are coming up after We Are the Origin. And I'm so excited for it to like write them and share them with you guys. But I know for a fact that this is one of those things where I'm going to want to separate myself from the Melanin library. And that distinction and why I came to that will probably be a different podcast, because that's a whole discussion on its own. But for right now, just know that I have a Ko-fi page. And my first goal, the reason I decided to create a Ko-fi, is because I'm trying to crowdfund for my audiobook for We Are the Origin. You guys know I like audio. Y'all know that I do the podcast. But I want to make sure that my book is accessible. And in order to do that, I already have a company who is willing to work with me, who's interested in the book, and I already have a price. It'll cost about $2,000. And I'm just looking for people who are into it, who are willing to support, who are willing to be like, hey, I'm willing to donate, $2, $3, $5, whatever, to help me, get the money that I need for the audiobook. The narrator for the audiobook is on vacation right now, and I don't get my edits back until May. So basically, if I can get the $2,000 before June 1st, 2022, then I will be able to get an audiobook for We Are the Origin, and it will be able to come out this year, which is ideally what I would like to do. If that doesn't happen, then I won't be able to get the audiobook, and then I'll have to come up with some other way to make it accessible, which probably won't be as high quality, being honest. But there is a plan B, and plan B is most likely me doing it myself, which I am not excited about. But I will do it for you guys if you would like to listen to it. But I would really like this audiobook. Like I said, this book is the book of my heart, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. And I just want to make sure that everyone has access to it who wants access to it. So that's my spiel. Like I said, it is ko-fi.com/CM Lockhart, and Ko-fi is spelled KO-FI. So check that out if you're interested in supporting. Also, I am going to try to go back to doing writing sprints on Thursdays, you guys. So if you are subscribed to the channel, then you'll know that on Thursdays I did writing sprints with Amanda Ross. We ended up stopping that because we both finished the first draft of our book, and also she had other life stuff going on. So the timing just didn't work out. But I think I'm going to go back to doing that because doing them really helped me accountable. So if you would like to do writing sprints with me, let me know. But they are going to be Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I need to hold myself accountable and actually write, because I have not written anything in like 2 or 3 weeks. And this break has been very much needed, but I also need to get back to it. So that's kind of where I'm at. I want to get back into the groove of things, and, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to moving forward in all the stuff that I've been dealing with, kind of being in the past tense, and getting back to writing book 2 and this novella and all the things that I want to do. So I'm excited. I'm really excited about all of it, you guys. That is it for this episode of the Written in Melanin podcast. If you'd like to support the Malden Library to make sure it continues to exist as a free resource, then consider joining the Patreon. For as little as $3 a month, you'll be helping to ensure that this online database of books by Black authors will continue to exist and be available for readers looking to support Black authors and diversify their bookshelves. Simply head over to patreon.com/writteninmelanin to sign up. And if you'd like to support me, CM Lockhart, as an author, then head over to my Ko-fi page at ko-fi.com/CM Lockhart. You can donate once to support my current goal, or choose an amount to donate monthly. You have the power to decide, so check it out. And if you need them, there are links in the description box for everything, including where you can purchase my book, We Are the Origin, a fantasy novel about assassins who must save the gods in their realm from destruction, featuring a fantasy world, original god lore, epic fight scenes, and Black girls who aren't all that nice. It comes out on June 21st, 2022, and you can purchase a copy right now. Thank you guys so much for listening, and until next time, I hope all your books are full of melanin.